So let's talk about some tough as nails, drought tolerant, deer and bunny resistant plants. Got a few in the garden that are in full bloom, and I'd like to go through those right now. So this is a sombrero style of coneflower, and it's just amazing. The color is just very vibrant orange. Again, drought tolerant. In my garden, it is growing in full clay, so it's highly alkaline soil. But I believe this will do well in almost any soil, because it is a coneflower after all. So here's another coneflower right next to the other one. This is the red variety, and it's just gorgeous. Together they make quite a stunning pair. Moving on from the coneflowers. Again, these are the sombrero series. We have this delightful Liatris, also known as Gayfeather. Very drought tolerant, bunny and deer resistant. Fun fact, when I lived on a farm about 30 years ago, I planted a garden right against the pasture, and we had electric fence, 4 rows of electric fence on that pasture. And the cows would always stick their tongue through the fence trying to grab onto whatever was on the other side. And I watched their reaction when they licked the Liatris. They pulled back in disgust. So I figured it was a good one to keep on the pasture side as close to the fence as possible. That way they would leave it alone. So, little fact. So I'm sure it's tastes bad to the deer as well. Here's a regular old purple coneflower. It looks very stunning. Also very drought tolerant, deer and bunny resistant. It just looks gorgeous with these flowers together. This is loosestrife, which is somewhat evasive, at least it is for me. That's the white flower. And this is also drought tolerant, deer and bunny resistant. You can see the combination of flowers is just beautiful. If you're looking for a pop of red, you can't go wrong with some Beebalm. Beebalm does come in other colors, but it is very drought tolerant, deer and bunny resistant. The color is amazing. It's a good choice. This is a pretty tall one. These are almost 3 feet tall, but we've had really a hot summer, so I think that's why it's doing really well. You put the combinations of the flowers together, they're just really, really beautiful. Russian sage is always a really great add. It starts blooming in my garden around 4th of July and go all the way to frost. It looks really good as dry flowers too. It gives kind of a silver foliage. Again, deer and bunny resistant. The technical name or the Latin name is Perovskia. And this is a tall variety. Sometimes they come a little shorter. I do not have any problems with this thing spreading. Some varieties may spread a little bit. They stay in a clump form like you're seeing here. And the big one in the back, the big one is probably 4 feet in diameter, so you need some room for it. I kind of like them to fill in. That's why I planted a whole bunch of them together. This little section of the garden is planted for my husband. He loves the oranges and the reds. This is all, for the most part, deer and bunny resistant. This is butterfly weed, the orange, and it will provide adequate nesting opportunities for the monarch butterflies. I've had a lot of caterpillars on this as well in the past. You're going to want a deadhead because it's well spread. Here's a nice red daylily. This is not necessarily deer resistant. I have had the deer nip at the heads on these, but it is drought tolerant. As I kind of pan over the garden, you can see how it's filled out. And then up against my house I have some Annabelle hydrangeas, which is just a beautiful, beautiful look. This is my perennial bed. I refer to it as the Dutch garden because in the spring it has almost all tulips and daffodils in the spring type of bulbs. but the color combination right now is just absolutely breathtaking. This orange and red flower is called Gaillardia, very drought tolerant and deer and bunny resistant. It kind of has a fuzzy texture to it. Usually that is a telltale sign that the deer and bunny won't touch it. And behind it I've got some black-eyed Susan as well. This area of my garden really needs to be refreshed a little bit. This is on the east side of my house. I'm going to pull the stuff out of here and do a new garden, I think. This is a newer plant I just got. This is a red variety of Yarrow. It's kind of nice as well. Also drought tolerant, bunny and deer resistant. This one is called Paprika, so named for the nice red foliage. It's very striking in color. This is another sombrero coneflower I got. I'm going to plant it in this little landscape in the front of my house. This is a little area on the side of my driveway that needs to be refurbished. In here I have some Campanula that's finishing its bloom. It needs to be deadheaded. And I've not had any issues with deer or bunny on this plant. It wasn't a very stressed area. They could chew on it if they needed to. And here I've got some moonbeam Correopsis. It's just a nice dainty flower. It spreads pretty good, although this has been here for quite a while. I need to dig it up and move it, but very deer bunny resistant. You always have standard daisies. They are very drought tolerant and deer and bunny resistant as well. Kind of a native wildflower in the Midwest. Here's another shot of the Correopsis among my hydrangea that's getting really, really big. I haven't had deer chew on this either, although I'm sure they could. These are wild asters. Very drought tolerant, deer bunny resistant. I didn't plant them here, but they're kind of pretty, so I left them. If you enjoyed this garden tour, please give us a thumbs up so YouTube knows to share this content with others. Also, if you enjoy garden tours, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of our other great tours. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.